The old house stood at the edge of town, a beacon of forgotten memories draped in shadows and whispers of a darker time. Four friends, bored teenagers seeking a thrill, dared to approach. Jake, as Jake. "Alright guys, this is it, the house from all the stories." Jake, the adventurous leader, Chloe, the skeptic with a thrill for the unknown, Ryan, the quiet observer, and Mia, the cautious one, always sensing danger. They had heard the stories. Legends whispered around flickering bonfires and shared in hushed tones. Sophia, as Chloe. "Are we really doing this? I mean, it's just a creepy old house, right?" Carlos, as Ryan. "I don't know, Chloe, there's something about this place." Emily, as Mia. "I have a bad feeling about this, guys, maybe we should just leave." The house held secrets, they said, dangerous games for those foolish enough to play. Tonight, curiosity would be their guide, leading them towards a truth more terrifying than any campfire tale. They found the mirror hidden in the attic, covered in dust and cobwebs. A tarnished, ornate frame, its glass cloudy with age. It felt wrong. An unwelcome presence pulsating with unseen energy. Liam, as Jake. This is it, the mirror game. Ignoring the prickling fear crawling up their spines, they knew they had found what they were looking for. The mirror game. The rules were simple, etched into the back of the mirror in a language they couldn't understand, yet somehow, instinctively knew. Stand before the mirror at the stroke of midnight, light a single candle, stare into its depths and ask your question. What awaits you in the future? The air grew heavy as midnight neared. The only sound was the ticking of an antique clock, each second a hammer blow against the silence. The candle flickered, casting grotesque dancing shadows across the dusty room. Jake, as Jake. "Alright, here goes nothing." Jake stepped forward, his youthful arrogance masking a growing unease. He stared into the mirror's depths. Nothing, just his own reflection, eyes wide with anticipation. Then the reflection changed. A gasp escaped Jake's lips. His reflection was no longer his own. Instead, it showed a horrifying tableau. A twisted, broken figure, his face mangled beyond recognition, eyes staring vacantly into the void. Death stared back at Jake. His death. Panic choked him, clawing at his throat, but he couldn't look away. The image held him captive, forcing him to confront his demise. One by one, they each took their turn. Jake, as Jake. "Oh my God, what is this?" Chloe, her reflection consumed by flames, screaming silently from within the inferno. Emily, as Chloe. No, this can't be happening!" Ryan dragged beneath the surface of a black lake, his pale hand reaching desperately for help that never came. Carlos, as Ryan. "Help me, someone please!" And Mia, her reflection already gone, replaced by an empty void staring back, reflecting nothing but the terror growing within her. Sophia, as Mia. I can't see myself, what does this mean?" The game was over. The mirror had shown them their future, a future painted in fear and death. But they had peered into a darkness they couldn't comprehend, and the darkness had seen them too.
Leaving the house, they tried to rationalize what they had seen. A trick of the light, they said. Just an old mirror playing on their fears.
But the images lingered, burned into their minds. The line between reality and reflection began to blur. Every reflective surface became a potential window into their terrifying future. Sleep offered no escape, nightmares plagued them, filled with flickering candlelight and distorted reflections. Their once vibrant world had turned cold, drained of color and life. The visions followed them, lurking just beyond the edge of their vision, waiting to claim them.
The house on the hill loomed in the distance, a constant reminder of the game and the terror it unleashed. They were no longer in control. The reflections were.
The change was gradual at first. A flicker in the mirror, a whisper of movement where there should be none. Then, more pronounced. Their reflections began to move independently, mimicking their actions with eerie precision before deviating entirely.
They watched in horror as their reflections smiled cruelly, a promise of the suffering to come.
Panic turned to terror as the reflections began to bleed out from their reflective prisons. First, faint outlines, shimmering apparitions stepping out of mirrors, windows, anything that reflected. Then, more solid, details sharpening, eyes glowing with malevolent intent.
The reflections had come for them, ready to usher them towards their gruesome destinies. The house on the hill beckoned, a macabre puppeteer pulling the strings of their fate. They were trapped in a nightmare of their own making, with no escape from the horrors reflected back at them. Their screams echoed in the empty streets as they ran, desperate to escape the relentless pursuit of their reflections. But the reflections were faster, stronger, fueled by the growing terror that consumed their human counterparts. Their once familiar town had transformed into a hunting ground. every reflective surface a portal for their doppelgangers to materialize. They were picked off one by one, dragged screaming into the darkness by their reflections, their cries for help swallowed by the night. Each capture fueled the power of the remaining reflections, their forms solidifying, their grins widening. The game was nearing its end. No one knows what became of the teenagers who dared to play the mirror game. Some say their screams can still be heard echoing from the old house on the hill. Others whisper of seeing fleeting figures lurking in reflections, forever searching for new players to join their twisted game. One thing remains certain: some games are best left unplayed.